Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name's Kevin, and this is probably my first ever vlog about film cameras. Today, I'm going to basically walk you through what different things on a film camera means. I have got my grandfather's old Canon FTb. From what I can imagine, it was quite a consumer grade camera. Whilst it feels nice and hefty, you'll find that that is the case with a lot of these cameras. This was, I believe, 1970, like 1969 to 1972 or something like that. And basically, it, quite a good camera. I've had it now I've been using it for about 4 years, I'd say. And it's been great. Like, I can't say I've treated it all too well, but that's just the case, I guess, when you are using it as a tool. So, general overview. Please forgive me if I am looking at my watch. It's only because I am using my watch as a display, so I can make sure that I can see things and positioning it all correctly. So, basically, looking at the camera, we have got the Canon FTb. And then on the top, we will see a few more things over here. So starting off, you've got, I just took a picture. Oh, I've got nothing in the camera. So, yeah, I guess let's start things off with having a look at the top of the camera. So to start things off, we have got, this is the shutter button. This will obviously take the picture. You got this lever over here, which when you find and have a listen, it will wind it and let you take another picture. Then you got this thing over here that basically you'll find there is an A and an L, and that basically, oh, the L's on top, the L, and basically let you lock it. So if I wind it, then if I have it locked, I can't take a picture, but if I unlock it, then I can. Next we have got the shutter. Sorry, so I feel like this is all upside down for you. This hopefully is going to be a bit easier to read. So next thing we have is on this side we have got the shutter wheel. So your shutter is basically, it's when the door goes up and down. Okay, I'm going to open this camera and I'll show you, but basically it will be a fraction of a second every single time. Newer digital cameras, you'll find that they basically allow you to go beyond I guess a fraction of a second. So it could be a whole second, it could be up to 30 seconds. But then you'll always find that on these cameras you'll then get what we call a B, or no, we don't call it a B, it is a B just over there, and that basically is bulb, which means for as long as you're pushing the button, it will be taking a picture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this from what is 500 and then going to go all the way around to B. Yeah. Now I'm going to advance it and then have a listen. So it will just stay open for as long as I'm pushing it in, and then it'll let go. So that's bulb. Now, why this is all relevant is because you could be, let's say, taking pictures of the sky at night or a very dark scene and you want to hold it open. But bear in mind, shutter means the longer you leave it open, the more blurry the picture can be. So a rule of thumb, I always go for roughly like 1/125th of a second. That's going to be the 125 that you see over there. It's kind of like a fail-safe. It's a very safe shutter speed to be at, and I will help you identify which is what as we go along. So that's shutter. Then if you look at this ring, I'm gonna have to look at my watch again. If you look at this ring, you're gonna see the green numbers just over there. Those green numbers, basically that is your ASA. It's the old term for ISO. And that basically is how fast is the film, or how much detail will the film give in a darker situation. So a nice way to change that, because obviously if you're rotating your shutter wheel, that's going to move the shutter. But what's nice about this is if you lift that ring, basically, no, I'll do it again over here. I lift the ring and then you can rotate that to be your certain ASA. Now the ASA, I've got a roll of film over here. This is called Ectar 100. It's a very nice and colorful film, and 100 meaning 100 ISO. So then on my camera, I would then set it to 100 ASA. So they've got 100, and that's good. Now, if a camera ever asks you to set the ISO, that is because there's a light meter built into it. Now, not all light meters are going to work like that. A lot of them need batteries. Some cameras do actually have it, that it doesn't even need a battery, but those are what we call, I forget the name, but I'll have the name somewhere here. That's ASA or shutter, sorry, ASA or ISO, and that's going to basically be your, that's going to help with your light meter. Lastly, you have got your aperture. Now, the aperture are those wonderful rings that you have in the lens. So you can see, you can adjust your aperture just over here. And it goes typically from like, if you're going to have a 50mm lens, which is normally the lens that doesn't zoom in or out, that is the set standard for lenses. What's nice about it is that it has an f1.8. Basically, that means it lets in quite a lot of light and it makes for a nice blurry background, which is quite handy. And it's a nice one to have. However, it does also mean that your picture, there's a higher chance of it being out of focus, because if you have a blurry background, that means what is in focus gets into a very, very short range. So if you have your focus moving, forward or backward, then you would want to make sure it's exactly on the subject. Now, there's nice ways, certain cameras have got ways to help you with that. And that basically is, if I'm looking through here, I'm really going to try get a way to kind of gauge this. But you'll sometimes see a circle, and whether it means that you're going to have ones where the image within the circle is split into two, and as soon as it lines up, then it's going to be in focus. Or this camera specifically has got it so that it's got like a triangle shape. I would love to actually look into how it does it, but to my knowledge, what happens is the triangles, and if anybody does know, that'll be great for you to explain down in the comments. But if you see those triangles, it's out of focus. If you don't see any triangles and it's nice and crispy, then you're in focus. That is your shutter. That is your aperture, lit and light. I'll try actually show you what it looks like. I'll show you how I'm taking this lens off in a moment. But I'm gonna, oh my goodness, I've just got the longest Siri explanation over here. Let me get rid of that. Okay, I'm back. So, and let's see if I can close the aperture rings. I can't, no, what's going on? Okay, I can't show you on here, unfortunately. No, not happening. Okay, basically, when you close the rings, 1 second. Alrighty, tighty. John Prosser for you. Okay, so you can't really see it all too well. I hope you can see it now. Gosh, Siri, stop, look. Basically, I'm also gonna grip this so you can see nicely. So what you see over here is the shutter ring is moving open, so that's like an f1.8, and then that will go down to like f8, and then f16, and then f32. So typically you'll find that a shutter does go to f1.8, some can go to f1.4, others can go to f1.2, but sometimes it's only like f3 or f4, which is not a problem, because the more you zoom in, we can get into this in another video, but the more you zoom in, then you'll get a natural blurry background anyway, so you won't have to worry about the F number being a higher number, so let's say 4 or 5, because if it's more zoomed in, then you're gonna have that blurry background anyway. It'll just be darker. That's all. So to recap, we have covered shutter, which is how quickly the door goes open and closed. Then you also have ISO or ASA. That basically is whatever film you're putting in there. If your camera has a light meter and asks you to set it, then you will set your ASA or ISO. And then you also have your aperture, and that's how wide open the lens is to let in light. So next thing we have got, moving to the front of the camera, well, still in the lens really, is we have got, oh gosh, Siri! What we have got is the focus ring. Pretty handy. So on this camera specifically, we have got, in orange, we have got your meters, and then in white, we have got feet. So that's pretty handy. Basically, it just lets you see, you know, let's say you can't really gauge and you want to gauge how far away something is. So I think that thing over there is 3 meters. I set it to 3 on the camera, and then I'll be good. Go ahead, and then did you also hear how it took a while to click? I'll do it again. Now that wasn't because I was holding it down, because my shutter was set to 1/2 of a second, and that basically obviously is half a second. So let's break down into it in just a moment. We then have also got this is your wind reel. So basically, if you have finished your roll of film, then you're gonna wind the whole reel back, and then you'll suddenly hear it go, and then it's finished. That's finished winding. And then what you would do is you would take this, and then you can lift it up and then pop open the back of the camera. So, and it's at this moment I either realize I have got film or not. Thank goodness I haven't. Okay, so that's one thing there. Then at the same time, on top of the camera, but around this area, we have got this on off, and that's basically the light meter. So off, always good to leave it there. If then on, and now the light meter will suddenly start working. Or if I hold it down, that'll temporarily activate the light meter and then release. Then also over here, we have got basically the counter. That counter allows you to see how many pictures you've got left, which is quite nice. Moving to the front of the camera, so well, also on the top, lastly, you've got your hot shoe, and then moving to the front of the camera, you are able to set a timer. So let's say pitch the camera up. I've done this a few times with like family pictures when we were on holiday. I'd get my bag down, balance the camera, and then get focus. And then what you'll do is you'll set it, and then you wind the picture, and then I'm going to make this shutter speed a bit faster, and then I'll press it down, and you can hear it spinning, and as soon as it resets, it'll take the picture. Pretty handy, right? That is the shutter. And then moving around over here, if you have got a flash as well, that goes in there, which is quite nice. And now if I can't seem to remember what the dial around this with the M and L does. Sorry about that. And then because this is basically just covering like basics of what you would expect to see on a camera. It may be different on your camera, it probably will be, but from cameras I've seen, I've got a few other ones. This is the general kind of way it works. At the very bottom you'll see there's that hole. I'm sure that hole, I don't know if you can hear the rain, I'm really sorry. This is the joys of London. It's just always raining, so it maybe picks up on the mic. I'm not too sure. And my screens have gone off. I'm going to kind of be artsy and have like my photography stuff over here. Although it is just iTunes and a very messy desktop. I'm really sorry about that. Basically, then over here we have got the 1/4-inch screw. That's basically what you'll find on any tripod. So you can put your camera on a tripod. And then this button over here. This button over here basically allows you to then, if you feel like you've finished with your roll of film, you will push that button in, and then you will open this lever, and then it will allow you to wind back. When film is in here, if you try wind back, it may be a bit like stiff. Don't carry on trying to wind it back, like forcing it. You're going to break the film, and then it'll just Yeah, you don't want to do that. You know, it's just not cool. Cool. And then, yeah, so you need to push this button to wind it. Then, people also sometimes see this wonderful marker. That marker right over there in the middle with a line. That over there is where the film is going to be in the camera. So that's your line from where absolute zero is. Because like I say, when you're metering and you distancing yourself from the subject, you want to know where it's starting from. So starting over there. Cool. Next thing, let's go open up the camera. So like I said before, we pull this and then we pop that door. Oh wait, sorry. Also over there, you open with the coin or with your hands. That's where the battery for the light meter goes. So pop it open. There we go. And now you can see the inside. So what's nice about the FTb, and I haven't really seen this all too often, is it's got this extra little, this bad boy over here. Now what's really nice about that is when you're loading a film, it makes it easier for you to, it holds the film down. Earlier I mentioned the shutter speed, right? So I'm gonna wind this, and then, so you probably didn't see much over there, right? However, if I set the shutter speed, I'm going to set it to half a second over there. If I do the same, pay attention to how long it's going to be open for. Pretty cool, right? Same thing if I go all the way to bulb. So I'm set all the way to bulb, wind it, and this is where, for as long as I'm holding it down, it'll be open. So pretty handy. So that's the brief explanation over there of shutter. This is a video, basically was an overview of this camera. I'm gonna make another video separately on how to just load film, because I know for a fact somebody's gonna Google search how to load film, and then and I'd hate for them to sit through this entire video. Only for them to see the loading of the film at the very end. So that has been an overview of Canon's FTb. One thing to also note is when you're opening the lens, when you're taking the lens off, what's quite different with this one, and nowadays you'll only find this with PL lenses. Basically, every camera has its own letter, which is a mount. And that mount is essentially unique to that camera. So this has got a original Canon mount. I think it's an FD mount, if I'm not mistaken. I only say that because I see FD over here, and I'm guessing that that is the reason. So, you know, nowadays, if you get a digital camera, you push a button on the side, and then the lens kind of clicks off, and you can like rotate and take it off. What's different with this one, however, and this is why I say it's similar to the PL lenses from cinema cameras, is that there's actually like a barrel holding it in. So you see the red dots is over there, and then there's the red dot on that silver thing over there. What happens is you rotate that, that's aligned, and now it comes off. It's the same thing. You're gonna line up the red dot and then close it again. Pretty simple, pretty handy. It's nice to know that your lens is then locked in and quite secured, which is pretty handy. I don't even know if this is still recording. Bless up, it's still recording. And yeah, that's basically it. If people, I'm just thinking what else I could tell you about this camera. If people want to know what these numbers are over here, typically that was the serial number for the camera, because obviously they didn't make too many of them, so it was, you know, quite handy. That's for the flash, as I mentioned on the side over here. And then over here, so you'll see there's a screw. You'll see there's a screw on top over here. That is if you are wanting to take a picture at night, but you don't want to shake the camera. That's typically what happens when we push down on the camera to take the picture. Now, even though it's secured on a tripod, it's still going to move a little bit. So what this does is you must be very gentle with it, because they're not as common nowadays as they were before, so they don't make them as strong. But basically the science of this, as if it's even science, you push down, it pushes there, that takes the picture. Let me show you. So what you do is you just go and you gently insert that there and you rotate it inwards, ready to go. That's down, and then I advance the film. Also, advancing means winding the camera, and I just go. Don't know why I had to bite my lip when I did that, but yeah. So that's that. Always gently remove it. You don't. Yeah, you don't want this to strip. It'll be a waste of money, really. And yeah, that's been an overview of the Canon FTb. This is probably one of my favorite cameras to date. I've invested into some more cameras and more lenses, lenses that are way better than this, where it's the same 50mm, but like f1.4, like Carl Zeiss lens and everything. And some of my favorite pictures to date are all with this combination. I've left it in a car in the back seats when I was still living in Johannesburg, and I left the window open through one of the worst thunderstorms ever. Only to get back after like 5 hours of it raining, and this camera, I kid you not, was like this high in water. I need to find them. I still have the pictures from the roll that was in there that was stuck. Heaven knows how they actually recovered it. So yeah, that's something that exists. I guess to wrap up, that's basically the Canon FTb. What are your thoughts? Do you know what these things mean? What camera do you have? And yeah, did you find this helpful? Did you learn anything? I'd like to know. Sorry for all the questions, but I've just been basically waffling for the last however many minutes this video is going to be. Thanks for watching. If you guys will have any questions whatsoever about film photography or video in general, please let me know. I have an absolute passion for it, and whilst I don't do it as a daily job, it's a nice hobby to have, and yeah, I'm forever involved with it. My housemates, they're all filmmakers as well, so we're always talking about cameras and geeking out over those things. If you want to geek out with me as well, I have got my film accounts on Instagram. I'll link it out. I'll link everything down below. I'll save you the hassle of hearing me talk anymore. Well, yeah, thanks so much. Definitely come check out again, and I shall see you in the next video.